thing I want to cover, guys, is prospecting. There are reps that get into the field, and because you've not been through training, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a system that has worked for me in the 17 plus years I've been with the company, that have been very, very, very helpful, and for some of our top reps. And one of the first things they do is keen, laser focused prospecting. And so I'm going to give you an example, starting with Google. And the reason I've got Google up is because prior to going into a market, I personally want to know a little bit about the market. I'll do a project in September up in Victoria, BC. And it's a project now that I've been doing for 11 years. Now, even though I've been doing it for 11 years, every year I do the same thing I did the year before. And I start with prospecting, and here's how it goes. I start by typing in the following: things to do. You can see I've got others in there. I'll just use Vancouver, BC in this case. Things to do in Vancouver, BC. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for a website that can give me some good leads. And I know of a particular one out there. It's called Tourism Vancouver. And I'm going to go to that website. Actually, I'm going to choose another one in this case. I'm going to choose Hello BC instead. But every market you go into, the first thing I ask you to do is do things to do in that area. And here's why. Because if you're an actual tourist, guessing at hotel or that to do when you get to town. And I can tell you right now, it's not all about restaurants. There's a variety of businesses and things that people want to do when they travel. And so what I want to do is I want to find some of those things. And so I get to the things to do section, and I just start scrolling down, and I look at things like outdoor activities, and winter activities, and attractions. Park and wildlife are usually free, so I'm not going to waste time there. Festivals and events usually are free, so I'm not going to waste time there. But arts and culture I can go after. Food and wine I can go after. Tour and sightseeing. I'm going to take advantage of a lot of these. In this example, I'm going to go and use attraction and entertainment. And when you get to this type of a site, look at the kind of information you get. This is called prospecting and getting leads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down and see that there are 31 attractions, just 31 attractions. That's just one of many categories, guys. And I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to get the name of the attraction and the phone number, and I'll make a phone call. And some of the smaller markets, which you'll really be surprised to see, is not only will you see a website and a phone number, but you'll see email addresses in smaller markets as well. And so you're not only getting information, basic information, but you're getting some of the detailed information. Here you go. Speaking of email addresses, and there is one right there. And so what I do, now a lot of times people say, well, Mark, this takes so much time. I'll tell you guys, this is the way I work. I believe in working smart, not hard. And it's going to be hard and smart, but if you work smart with regard to how you put together your project, it'll be so much easier. Because what I'll do is I'll spend 2 hours sometimes watching SportsCenter, one of my favorite stations, and I'll sit there watching SportsCenter, grabbing email addresses and names of businesses. And so what I'll do is I'll create a list of actual email addresses and the name of the business and the phone numbers. And then I'll do a mass email, which I'll show you at the end of this call. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that every opportunity I have for the different types of businesses is available. And they are, provided we do a search. Things to do, number one, don't forget that. Like right now, if you're on a project and you haven't done that yet, shame on you. It's okay. Back up and do it now. Spend some time today learning about the area. What are some of the things that tourists want to do when they come to that area? Things to do is one of them. Another one I love to use in the same market spot I'm going to use again, we'll go BC Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to go to the BC Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to look for a directory. So I'm doing my search right now in real time with you guys. And there you go, chamber membership. And nope, they may not have a directory here. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. That's fine. You just find ones that do. But chambers of commerce are really good. Here you go, chamber membership. So a membership directory, all right? And they'll usually tell you to select by category. But this doesn't do it. But a lot of the smaller markets, the ones I love about the smaller markets is that you will find some of the best information you'll ever. I worked in a small market in Washington State called Port Angeles. And in that area, I was able to pull up the chamber. I was also able to pull up things to do and get a whole bunch of leads. And then, guys, when you're in the small towns, also do a downtown association. I won't do it here because I'm not looking in Vancouver. I won't find that in the bigger cities. But in the smaller cities, you will find downtown associations. So why is it so valuable to get access to this type of a lead source or a prospect? Let me tell you why it's valuable. It's because if you can build an affinity relationship with the president of that association, That president, whether male or female, may help you promote what you're doing. And what I normally do, and I can shoot you guys an email later on how to do this, is that you can sometimes get a chamber to say, yeah, we'll tell our members about it. And what I'll put together is a special pricing for their members. You know, you guys, we're currently putting together our concierge program for such and such hotel. And what I would like to do is offer your members a 50% discount or a 30% discount because they're members, period. Oh, really? Yeah, and not only that, but Mr. Johnson, if I'm talking with the chamber guy, his name is Mr. Johnson, what I'd like to also do is offer you a free quarter-page ad if we get at least 10 of your members to come on board. There's a reason why we're doing this, guys. We want him to work for us to also help us to maximize not only our dollars and our hitting our quotas, but to also help us to hit our bonuses and double bonuses. When you start thinking out of the box versus just being the type of person who just runs around with chicken with the head cut off, you're chasing business, you begin to maximize your dollar opportunity. And so what I suggest that you do is to take advantage of things to do. Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Association, another real good one in smaller markets are restaurant associations. You'll also see these in bigger markets. Chase down the restaurant associations. You can do the same affinity pitch, and I can tell you how to do those direct on a one-on-one. But you do a direct affinity pitch to the president of that association. They may have 700 restaurants. They may have 600 restaurants. They may have just 100 restaurants, guys. You only need 10 to hit your quota. Why the heck not take advantage of that? And again, we give them a chance. And then we can even feature. One of the things I love to do in doing this is chasing that, is to give these guys a chance to give something to their membership. And by giving this, they see this as a benefit to their members, and sometimes they will promote it. Or they'll just say, hey, we can't promote it, but you could definitely mention us. Meaning when I call them up, hi, John, I was just talking with Fred over at the Chamber of Commerce, and because of a discussion I had with him, we're going to be offering all chamber members a 30% discount. Would love to stop by and talk to you about our concierge program. Yeah, come on in. Boom. And you've got an opening. All right. The last one I suggest that you do, or actually there's two more. Number 4 would be old leads. You can contact either myself or Mike Mummery at the office, but contact me direct first and I'll get you these. And these are actual advertisers that have advertised with us in the past. For some reason, they've not come on board. Sometimes they didn't come back on board simply because when we were there, they were not there, meaning we missed them at the same time. So since we missed them, doesn't mean they don't want to come back on board. It's just the person who tried to reach out to them couldn't find them while they were there. Therefore, it's been falling through the cracks. Well, let's find it. Let's see if we can get that client on board and get them back by going after the old lead. The other way is when you physically land in the location. So you're physically there, you're now on property, or you're now in the area, pick up books like guides, anything that says guide, you know, G-U-I-D-E. That simply means, guys, they're trying to get access to tourists. And if they want access to tourists, those are the same advertisers that we can go after. So pick up those books. Those are great resources. You're at the front desk, go over to the rack cards. You'll see the rack cards usually at the section of the hotel. Go to that rack card, stop in front of it, and start pulling rack cards out. Pull out the businesses that are very conducive to tourism. Pull them out, pull them out, pull them out. Then you pick up other magazines or anything in the area. The one that I really love to do, however, is this. I'll show you this in an email. I was working a project, did a sample, and I can show you how this works. Is where you actually are physically at a location, and I've seen a lot of times that reps don't take advantage of this, but you really should. It's great to stop by other hotels. Stop by and see what the other hotels are doing. And here's how you do it. You walk in, you stop by, you say hello, say, yeah, I would love to see your room. Now, the person at the front desk thinks that you're wanting to see a room simply because they think you're going to want to book a room. They don't need to know that you're really wanting to see the guest directory in the room. We want to see what the competitors are doing. And why do we want to see what the competitors are doing? Because if the competitors have a book in their room, chances are they have advertisers as well. So I want you to get in that room to see what prospects you can pull from that book. And so the way I do it is I normally go up to the room. If they come with me, fine, let them come with me, and I walk around. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, wow, you guys do guest directories. We do these too. You pick that guest directory up and you look through it. And the very back of that book, you either calculate, in your mind, you start, full graphic memory, that's fine. I just take out a pen and paper. Oh my gosh, there's a full page there. And I write down the name of the business, phone number, and the size of their ad. I sure do. And then when I'm done with that, I say, thank you so much for seeing the room. And I'll walk downstairs. Well, I'm still looking at some other places. I'll let you know about whether or not I want to book a room. Boom. I walk out with some good leads, guys. So back up. Number 1, you need to look at things to do in the market. Number 2, you need to look at chambers of that area. Number 3, you need to look at the restaurant associations and the downtown associations. Number 4, you need to look at old leads. And number 5, you need to check out the books and the guest directories in the markets. That's prospecting. The way it's going to maximize your dollar opportunity. All right, guys, so that's prospecting. I'm going to go and talk to you guys a little bit about some of the forms and documents that we need to be able to fill out the correct way. The forms that I'm going to show you are the actual layout form and actual agreements as well. This here we're going to start with is a layout form. And let me show you how a layout form works. The layout form is what you need to fill out for every ad you sell, whether you sell it to a renewal or whether you're selling it to a current or a new advertiser, doesn't matter. You need to have one of these turned in when you turn in your package with your advertiser. So you're going to fill out the name of the property that it's staying at, the name of the actual advertiser, street address. If you got a mailing address that's different, that's fine, put it in there. But make sure you get an email address. Usually the contact person for the ad or the graphics is going to be different than the person who signs the agreement. And if that's the case, make sure you denote who that person is. And if there's a phone number that's different or whatever, make sure you put all that information in. In addition to that, we need to know exactly what size ad are they going with. Going to go with a full page or a half page, the way I'm going to teach you today, because you shouldn't sell anything below that. Where your monies are made are right here. So my goal is to teach you how to do that. And then this section right here, there at the bottom, I always suggest that you do one or two things. If it's a current advertiser who wants to keep his ad or her ad the same way, you can just write in the words pick up. Pick up. That's what we use, the vernacular we use in advertising sales. Pick up simply means it's the same as it was last year. Okay, no changes. If they are going to change something, you just want to put a little couple of notes here, maybe some asterisks, and say, you know, change hours are going to change from this to this, or here we have a new kids menu notation here, or they've got a special or whatever that is, or even if they're removing something, please remove Sunday hours. We're now closing at 9 o'clock rather than 11 o'clock, or whatever that may be. Note those items if we're going to change something. If someone's advertising with us for the first time, what I suggest and what I have done is I've used this layout form. I fill out all that information at the top. I talk about the size of the ad, and then I flip this sheet completely over where it's blank, and I've got a blank canvas to work with. And with that blank canvas, I begin to lay out a sample of what their ad could look like. So I'll say, hey, John, we'll put your logo right here at the top. I'll create a little box right here where it's blank, write in the word logo. I'll put in an image box here and say image here. He may want 2 images, so I may put 2 images there. And then on the side, I'll just put little bullet points. John, talk about the restaurant a little bit. Well, we do fresh seafood. We do only grain-fed beef. We do, you know, blah, blah, blah. He gives us just some of these bullet points about the restaurant. At the bottom, he says, you know, kids menus. And then at the very bottom, we may talk about live music on Friday nights. In the very middle section down below, I'll usually put his website, his phone number, his address. And if he wants to put a small little offering, I'll simply say something like this: show your room key and get 10% off, show your room key, get 15% off, show your room key, get a free dessert with the purchase of an entree. Whatever the special is she or he wants to offer, let's put that in here. Now, why would I want to put an offering in the ad itself? Here's why. Because I want the client to be able to track the results of what's going on in their ad campaign. So next year when we come back through, they'll say, okay, it worked, Mark, and here's how I know it worked, because we got a chance to put that little tracker in there and people actually showed their room keys. Therefore, I really want to renew with you again. So I always suggest find something that they can track, put that in their ad, and we recommend you put that in every single ad of theirs, okay? So that's your ad layout form. Any question regarding the ad layout form for the renewal ad or for a new ad that we want to build from scratch? Any questions?
Mark, this is John.
Yeah. Go on, John.
I had one customer that said, you know, already, he said, well, you know what, I want to just, I want my marketing department to work with One Stop. And so I know that in there. Is that all right?
Yes, it is. You'll have in your package, you'll have an ad layout form, whether it's a One Stop or NADS. If that advertising company wants to actually build their own ad, what they'll do at that point is just provide you the actual layout. You'll give them the actual specs, requirement, art guidelines. They just give it to their people. You tell them the date you need it back by. We usually say 2 to 3 weeks max. And they'll need to email it to artwork@guestdirectory.com, or in case of Guided Guest or NADS, it would be artwork@guidedguest.com. So either way, make sure you give them the actual art guidelines. If you give them the art guidelines, they can go and take care of it all. And then on the ad layout form, John, what you'll say is that client is creating their own ad, and a notation, we'll have it emailed to us by such and such date that they made a commitment to. That makes sense.
Yes, no, that's good. Thank you.
No worries. All right, guys, here's an ad agreement, a sample of what they look like. This is a project I just did in Pocatello, Idaho, a place that was doing car repairs. And so make sure you put the name of the hotels that the ad's going to go into, the name of the business, the address, the phone number, hopefully it's legible. The office says they can finally read my writing. They've been working with me long enough. I know you guys probably can't. Email address, the name of the city, state, and the zip code, size of the ad. I only want to sell full page ads, just so you know, and I'll tell you why in a bit. And then the price of the ad. I was a little confused because it wasn't a renewal project. I thought it was a half page ad. What I found out was it was a 2-in-1. Meaning they had 2 full half-page ads and they were paying a price of $9.95. So that's why you see the price of $9.95, and including Wally's ad, simply because this guy and this guy worked together. They purchased an ad together, but the full-page ad combined was $995. Then down below, you'll have a little X mark where they'll sign it, and then you'll have him print his name and his title and the date and the signature. So that's what an ad agreement looks like. See what else I've got in here. All right, let's go through a commission sales report. This is an actual report, weekly report. This is the full project I did in Myrtle Beach last year. And this will show you, for example, when you fill out this document, Samantha talked earlier about sending in your paperwork every week, 2.5 weeks, or every week and a half. You'll actually fill out the name of the advertiser. What I normally do is I'll try and keep these in chronological order for whatever I put them. So if I put the ad agreements into the packet, my packet will have the Myrtle Beach Mall #1, the Sea Screamer #2, the Cherry Grove #3. So when the office opens it up, it looks at this package. It says, okay, these guys paid $13.95 for their ad. They paid $13.95 for their ad, and it's $13.95 was the full price. That's what I collected. A cash receivable was 0. So all of that information will be consistent. Now, when you do all that, you fill out the information, how much you sold. At the very bottom, it's the grand total. So total sold was $9,659. Total collected was $9,659. So based on our commission structure, what you're getting here is not only are you getting your 30%, your 35%, but because I collected 100%, I'm getting an extra 5%. So you're getting a total of 40% of commissions. So the commission received would be $38.63 before taxes. You don't want to get this wrong, guys. Make sure you get this right. Now, if you sold an ad and you didn't collect the full amount, it would be $13.95. Let's say you only collected $500 of that. So that means the balance is $895. So all you do is you make sure you fill that information out accordingly. And so the client and everybody understands what's going on. What I want to discuss now, guys, is appointment setting. We're going to talk about the presentation part of the conversation. Now, because we are doing this webinar, everything I'm about to say will be recorded, literally. So you can take your time, listen to what I have to say, come back, rewrite it, make it your own. I always say all I do is I'm going to give you a skeleton. It's up to you to build the meat around the skeleton, okay? So the skeleton is basically the generics of our presentation. You take it and make it your own. I personally believe that the most effective salespeople, and I'm not the only one that says this, one of my mentors of all mentors is Tom Hopkins. If you've not heard of Tom Hopkins, take a look up Tom Hopkins, a great book called Selling for Dummies. I encourage that you get it. I don't care how many years you've been in sales. I've been in sales for 30 years combined, and I still take advantage of listening to some of the best of audios. But Tom Hopkins always talks about people buy from people they like. And they like you, why? Because you were able to build rapport. They like you, and it doesn't take long. I always love to share a story when I talk about pitching. One of my favorite stories was working in a little market called Walla Walla, Washington, some years back. And I remember calling on a winery there, and the winery said, you know, we've got about 10 minutes. Yeah, you can come on down. I'd like to hear your pitch. And so the guy was pretty cold, you know, on the phone. And he said he only had 10 minutes. I don't ever believe that, just so you know, because if you know how to build rapport, 10 minutes doesn't mean anything. It's really the relationship you build that gives you the time to speak. And so when I got there, we began to talk. Well, we didn't talk about advertising sales because I'm not an information giver. We started to talk about, and Mark, you'd probably appreciate this if Mark seems on the call. We started talking about the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. You know, I'm originally from Wisconsin. I'm a Packers fan. I'm a paddle loyalist. And at the time I had talked with this idea, it's just the Packers had just lost to them. We had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. We lost the game last minute. It was last minute. It's just crazy. And so we talked football for the half hour. We never even talked about advertising sales. But in doing so, let me tell you what occurred. We built rapport. He laughed, I laughed. We were jovial. We talked about university where I went to college. We just had conversations that began to build a friendship. Well, now 45 minutes into it, I'm like, oh, yeah. I remember the guy only said he had 10 minutes. But see, I don't mind spending time with people, guys. Here's why. For me, I would rather spend 2 hours with a guy and close the deal than to spend 2 hours meeting with 30 people and close deals. So stay with me on that one. So then 45 minutes into the conversation, he finally says, you know, we've probably talked about what we're talking about here. So then he calls his wife down. She comes down from the house down to the cellar area that we're working in. And she comes down. He introduces me as a Packer fan. And oh, great. Now we start off another 20 minutes into that conversation because she's a big Seahawks fan. Anyways, to make a long story short, at the end of the conversation, the report was built. Not only did they buy a full-page ad, but they bought a 2-page ad. They also wrote the editorial for my wine section, in which I sold 8 ads for the wineries. I'm telling you guys, rapport is what it's about. So if you are an information giver and that's all you've been able to do is give information, chances are you've not produced the kind of results you want. What I would suggest that you do is change it up a bit, build rapport. And how do you do that? Find a commonality as quick as possible. Ask a question that would bring about a commonality. Even ask a question like, well, John, where'd you go to university? You know, you get to talk with people about what they like, and it changes the dynamic of the presentation. The presentation is no longer about your product. The presentation is about you and them. And that's what it's about. And it's interesting. You'll hear a lot of times people say, well, you know, I didn't really buy from him because he had the best product on the market. I bought from him or I bought from her because I liked them. So get people to like you and you'll have an opportunity to close a deal. Well, in presentation, when I say, guys, I'm going to start by doing the actual phone call, and then we'll talk about the presentation face to face. But when making phone call, I don't even talk about guest directories. I don't use that word. To me, it's important to use a word that most people are familiar with. Most of them are familiar with concierge. They're familiar with, you know, hotel referral programs or things like that. So I want to talk to them in a language that they're familiar with. And so if I'm at a property, I always suggest if you're working from the property rather than remotely, that you physically call from the property phone. Here's why. People have a tendency to answer the phone from the property more so than they answer a phone that is unknown. And so if it's calling, there's an area of familiarity. So all of a sudden there's a phone call coming from Holiday Inn Express. And I call up John, and John answers the phone. Hey, John, Mark Palmer here with Holiday Inn Express. Hey, I'm putting together the concierge program over here. Heard some great things about you guys. Wanted to see if I could stop by and talk to you about our program. I've got 60,000 guests a year that come through this property, and I have to find places for them to spend their money when they're in town. What's a good time for me to stop by and learn more about you guys, see if it makes sense for us to send you more business? Would 1 o'clock today be good for you, or would 2 o'clock be better? That's how I get my appointments, guys. And I run at about 95% close on my appointments.
This is Tamara. You have said that a lot of times the prospectors typically answer when they see the hotel name. So are you literally going to the hotels and prospecting?
Yeah, I'm saying if a person's staying at the property, if you're not staying at the property, it's a totally different pitch, which I'll give you in a few seconds. But if you're staying at the property, I would suggest you use the phone from the property versus using your cell phone. Absolutely. That's if
I really think that is definitely most efficient. So I'm not staying at the property because my project is near my home. So how could I take advantage of that?
You and I can talk after the call. I'll talk to you about how to talk to the general manager, asking them if they can you could use the business center. People have done that before.
And Mark, I have a question. This is Bridget. At my last property, I was staying there, but the hotel property that I was seeing, they didn't give me access to use their telephone, and I had to use my personal cell phone. So I would love to hear, a presentation when you have to use your personal cell phone.
Yeah, I'll do that. But let me just tell you really quick, guys, anybody else on the call that may be in a situation where you've done a project and you've actually commuted, here's how I would suggest you do it. First of all, just say hello. Like earlier, Samantha was saying, make sure you speak to the GM or the assistant general manager, guest services manager. I usually walk in, hey, John, I'm the one who's going to be doing the guest directory, putting together the book this year. Hey, it's nice to meet you. Hey, one of the things I know to be very effective in other markets I've worked at is I usually want to work with you guys and get some suggestions from you and things like that. But more than that, I just need a room to work in while I'm here. Do you have a room that I can make calls from? And just ask them point blank. And the reason why, John, is so when I make the phone calls, people understand that there's an affiliation between what I do and what you do. Saying, I'm doing this book on your behalf. Oh, yeah, no problem. They will work with them, or they'll use the business, right? And the business normally has a phone in there, okay? So you can ask that question, guys. But I've had people do that. I've had no problem with it. If that is a problem, no big deal. No big deal. It's real simple. You make a call from your cell phone. I do it from my cell phone a lot of times because I work remote. And I still do the exact same. I make the phone call. Hi, John, Mark Palmer calling. I'm putting together the concierge program for the Holiday Inn Express. I didn't say I'm over here at the Holiday Inn Express. So I'm putting together the concierge program for the Holiday Inn Express. Yes, okay, cool. How can I help you? Hey, the reason I was calling you is I've got to find for the tours to do that come through this property. Every year we get just 60,000 every year, and it's my goal to simply find places for them to spend their money in the community. And I was wondering if I could stop by and learn more about what you guys are doing to see if it makes sense to send you some new business. Now, I never said anything to him about a guest directory. I never said anything to him about selling him something. I never said anything to him about having to buy. What I said, guys, and this is going to go into my next point, is I said something that we goes into what we call reverse selling. Here's what this first customer's going to hear. He's going to hear that I've got 60,000 guests. I was in such and such hotel, and that I want to learn about business. That's what he heard. And that gets me in the 95% of the time, guys. Just get in front of them, and then it's time to close. Now I heard somebody call my name. A question?
It was me, Tamara. Is it okay when we're prospecting to indicate that we are representing the hotel opposed to North American Directory Services?
It's very important, guys. Use this verbiage, as I've said it. It's very important. Mr. John, Mark Palmer here. I'm putting together the concierge program for such and such hotel. You see what I'm saying? I'm putting together a concierge program for such and such hotel. So he's like, oh, okay, cool. Hey, now remember, Mr. Johnson, I've got 60,000 guests. These guests are coming already into this community. They're spending money. We're trying to point in certain businesses for which to work with. I've heard some good things about you guys, but I need some face time. I need to learn about your business. Ah, really? Okay. Yeah, why don't you come on down today at 1 o'clock? See. Now, if I would have said to him, Mr. Johnson, I'm putting together guest directories, and I need to sell you an ad. Can I come see you today? No, not really interested in that. See, what he's interested in, guys, just so you know, he's interested in the 60,000 guests a year and access to them. He doesn't know he has to pay for them. But then when you get in the door and you've built rapport and he likes you and he's laughing, it's a jovial conversation, he's like, wow, I like this. Okay, I didn't know I was going to have to pay, but yeah, I want to do this. The goal is to get in front of them first, and you got to be able to get in front of them. So I always say, present this because it works, okay? So I walk in the door. First thing I say to them, just like I did with the guy in Walla Walla, I said, John, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I says, I want to learn more about your business. Like I said to you on the phone, 60,000 guests a year. Where do I send them for wine? Where do I send them for food? Where do I send them for the ghost tours? Where do I send them for the attractions? I need to find people. Okay. So then I shut up, guys. And this is the thing a lot of salespeople have a hard time with, shutting up, being quiet. See, one of the greatest things that you can do in sales is listen, not just talk. So if you begin to listen and hear what the client has to say, you can take mental notes that can help you close the deal. But if you're always talking, you never get a chance to get them engaged. This is what rapport is about. It allows them to communicate, you to communicate, and you begin to build rapport. So what I do is as a reverse selling, and part of what reverse selling is to have a client sell you. So this is why I do it this way. John, thank you. So John, tell me about your business. And now I shut up and I become the person being presented to. And John says, well, Mark, we've been in business for 20 years. Are one of the top steakhouses in town, grain-fed beef. My parents owned the company. I took it over, blah, blah, blah. We've won this award, that award. We're now doing fresh seafood, fresh catch daily. He's giving his whole sales pitch. And I'm like, wow. So I'm just there in awe. Okay, now they're all fake awes. You know, sometimes they're real awes, but you fake it, whatever you have to do. And I'm sitting there like, wow, John, I had no idea. Now, when he's done with his presentation, guys, when they're done with their presentation, it's your turn to present. Don't be an information giver and just present and try and collect money. Now, if you do that and you're doing really well, more power to you. But most people who do well and sell are engageable. They're allowing conversation to go both ways. And so what I suggest you do is when they're done with their presentation, John, I had no idea. I can now see why the office wanted me to come by here and meet with you. Your business would be perfect for what we do. Now let me explain to you what we do. And at that point, I pull out my guest directory. I pull out my binder. And I say, John, you'll have access to our guests at 2 levels. Number 1, in the rooms, and where they'll spend a good 8 hours plus of their day, overnight, whatever. But you'll also have access to them at the front desk. Let me explain to you how it works. What we want you to do, John, is we want you to communicate directly to those guests, directly in the rooms with a full page. Let me show you how these ads look. And I open up. I only show them full pages. Why do I only show full pages, people ask? I says, here's why. Because every advertiser you meet with, they only want a full page ad. Okay, if they want anything. The only thing stops them from getting a full page ad is you and price. So if you and price can come to a really nice negotiation, that client is going to buy an advertising at full page, maybe a lower price, but they're going to get what they want. You're going to get what you want because you're going to get closer to your base. Everybody's happy. Good example of that. The ad price is $9.95. Now, I present $95, and he looks at me like, yeah, I would love to get that. I just can't afford it. Well, then don't beat him over the head about it. John, here's what I'll do. I don't normally do this, but I want you in at a full page ad this year. I'm going to go ahead and drop that price this year by $200, whatever that number is, $795. But John, $95 of that, I'm going to have you pay by a gift certificate. So you can give me $700 check for a credit card today and $95. Would that be better for you, John? Yeah, I can afford that. Great. Guys, you just walked out with $700 versus a quarter page ad for maybe 2 or 3. Hello, it's ridiculous. So why not do that 10 times and double bonus and leave a project than to be sitting there trying to sell quarter page ads and 1/8. I mean, gosh, I saw someone sell a 1/8 one. I was like, how do you sell that? How do you sell a 1/8 page? That's a business card. So what you want to do is, as you're seeing this with them, and you've actually shown them the presentation, and you've actually pitched them, and you've gone to them, and you said, now, John wants that full page ad. So then I'm going to show them the full page ad in the book. I pull it out. I say, John, the full page ad would be perfect for you. What you do is you'll be able to put a lot of your content, your information, some pictures, an offering, maybe a special. And then here's, John, what I really want to do. I want to tie that into the front desk. And what I mean by that is this. If you've got, for example, some coupon cards that you'd like to be able to have us hand out, here's what we'd like to do. Is in your ad, it'll say, please ask for coupon cards at the front desk. And then I'll go to the front desk. I'll make sure of that $95 gift certificate that I got. I'm going to give the manager $50. I keep $45. Hey, John, I want to make sure you get a $50 gift certificate. Take your wife to the restaurant. But hey, John, can you also do me a favor? Can you make sure that you put these gift cards down underneath the counter in the drawer right there so that when the guests come down the front desk, they can be given a card? Yeah, I can do that. No problem for you. Because most hotels will not put information cards all on their counter. They don't want their counter getting too cluttered. But they will put them in a drawer, and so they can designate that drawer, and that drawer can become very beneficial for you. And so what I suggest you do is now you get that front desk to work with you. So not only is he going to get the full page ad, he's going to get the opportunity to promote it at the front desk as well. And now you just do the simple pitch close. You just say, John, so you want to go with the full page in black and white, or do you prefer to have that full page in color? And then in sales, you just shut up. Because now he's about to give you the answer. She's going to give you the answer. Yeah, Mark, I think I'm going to go with the color page. Okay, great. John, give me your business card. We'll go get that filled out for you. Now, while I'm getting him filled out, I'm still talking. So, John, you said you like the Packers, whatever. We're still having small talk because I want to just soothe any anxiety that he may be having at the close point. Guys, just have conversation. Be jovial. Have fun. One of our best reps, and she's no longer with us. She's moved on to some other things. But I used to remember her always saying, Mark, it's not about how you look. It's a matter how engageable you are. And she had one of the most vivacious personalities that I've met in this business. And those types of personalities are infectious. When people like you, they buy from you. When people don't like you, they don't buy from you. See, advertisers see what we call the slick salesperson all the time. They're tired of the slick salesperson. What they want is somebody who's engageable, who's willing to stop and listen, talk to them, hear about their concerns, hear about what they're trying to accomplish. Why not do that? I always say the best people in this industry, they set appointments the following way: 5 solid appointments. That's 5 decision makers per day. And why would they only go after 5, you would say? A lot of people say, well, I thought sales was a numbers game. No, sales is a quality game, okay? So you can go meet with 50 people today, but I'm not going to take you over the girl who met with 5 quality people. You know why? Because the person who met with 50, chances are didn't close hardly any. But the person who took her time or his time with one person by giving them their undivided attention, those are the producers that I like to work with, and usually the ones who do well. Because see, guys, in my mind, and that's why I've been with this business, I've been doing this for 17 and a half years. The reason why I can go to Victoria in September and know I already made money is because my clients have been with me for years. See, that's what it should be about, guys. It should be about building longevity. And those who build appointments and are willing to take the time with clients, they're not in it just for today's commissions. They're in it for their revenues in the future, year after year after year. So anyway, that's the presentation part. I'm going to stop there because I know a lot of questions usually come in the presentation portion. What questions you have regarding presentations at this point, guys? Please jump in. You got me here. I can answer the question. Don't wait till we jump off the call and say, I wish I would have asked the question. Ask the question now. I'm willing to answer.
Mark?
Yes.
This is Heather. So, and you can tell me, we'll talk about this another time if you prefer, but I'm trying to sell digital with print, and so when we come to pricing, I'm currently pricing those together. Am I making a mistake there?
No, I think it's a brilliant idea, guys. Just so you know, everybody on this call will have the chance to sell digital. Just a quick side note for print and digital and selling of digital. If you've been given the authorization to sell digital in your market, 2 questions you need to ask. You can ask them of me or Samantha. Does that property have a digital contract signed with State Compass? Number 1. Number 2, does that property already have in place a marketing mechanism for downloads? Meaning, how will they promote the app? Because inevitably, you will be asked that question by advertisers. So if you're in a situation where you're going to be selling advertising with the digital, please, reach out to Samantha and I about that, because I want to make sure that the properties you're currently with have officially signed the contract and have said, this is how we're going to promote it. Now, getting back to what you said earlier, Heather, yes, it's best to do a digital print combo. And the way I suggest you do it is this: Mr. Johnson, I want to make sure that you're physically available in those rooms, and those people lay their heads down or they're in their rooms. They see your campaign. But Mr. Johnson, I don't want it to stop there. I want them to have your campaign in hand when they're out and about in the city. Because when they're out and about the city and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we should go out for dinner. Where should we go? Oh, let's check out the app. Boom. They have a chance to get exposure, not only in the rooms, but also exposure while that guest is out and about. So yes, Heather, I'd say do it together and you can get the best bang. And they will get the best bang for their buck. That's the key. It's not just about us. It's about them getting the best return for their investment. And when they get that, they're going to like you a lot more. So yeah, I think you do it that way. Often in sales, people say, we should cover a section called overcoming objections. Let me tell you how you do that, guys. It's real simple. Overcoming objections is directly linked to building or not building rapport. And what I mean by that is this: when someone likes you, they have a harder time saying no to you. When they don't like you and there's been no engagement, you will see more objections. Build rapport, you see a lot less objections. And if you do see an objection, it's usually because you haven't built rapport. But let's say you do see an objection. An objection is usually a question. for more, or they want to know more about what you're offering. And what I normally will do, if it's a legitimate objection, you want to annihilate it by isolating. And here's how you do it. So, Mr. Johnson, what you're saying to me is the only reason today you're not making a decision is because of price. And if the answer is yes, guess what? I can overcome that. Why? Because he told me, Mark, the only reason I can't buy the $9.95 is it's just out of our budget. Oh, okay. Well, let's drop the price and make it work. Great. And then you close the deal again. Okay, Mr. Johnson. So now that we've given you the $200 off, plus you can pay $95 of the $7.95 with a gift certificate, you want to just go and pay for that today with a check or credit card, correct? Boom, you close the deal. If client cannot isolate, meaning they cannot tell you legitimately if it's real or not, then what they're really saying is a smoke blower. And a smoke blower is really just saying, I'm not interested. Rapport is vital, guys, because when you build rapport, not only do you build a likability, but sometimes the ability to trust people. People can trust you well. But if you don't build that and you're only an information giver, you're going to constantly see objections and you're not going to close many. You're very frustrated and probably not be with us long. So I really challenge you to spend time building rapport. Learn how to do it if you don't know how to do it. Every one of you know how to do it. I always say this. I mean, a guy tries to ask a girl out. What is he doing? He's building rapport to get her to like him. That's building rapport. I mean, we do it when we want to do it. So if you will build rapport, take the time out with a client. Really don't hurry yourselves. You'll close more than you will see, fall through the wayside. And again, a lot of times the reason why, one of the main reasons why people don't buy is two things. They don't see value and it's too much. So if you know you can overcome money, the only other thing you need to overcome is making sure you create value. What Heather brought up earlier is brilliant, because if you show them value not only in the rooms, but you show them value when the person walks away, in and out about the community, oh my gosh, you should be able to close them. It becomes really up to your ability to show value and being able to overcome whatever that issue may be. All right. Okay, let me talk about getting referrals. When I get to a point of closing the presentation, it's really good if you ask Mr. Johnson while you're filling out the paperwork, Mr. Johnson, do you have any friends or family members in the area that have businesses that are close to the hotel or resort that you think can benefit also from a program like this? Yeah, I sure do. Well, would you mind telling me who they would be? And I would love to call them and mention that you're a part of the program. Yeah, not a problem, Mark. Boom. So once we're done with the actual ad agreement, we filled out the paperwork, I got his check or his credit card information, I'm now going to get a list of his referrals. He may only give you 3, but those 3 can help you get past your quota or your double bonuses. So don't forget to get the referrals. Now, a referral is not just given for advertisers who are actually not going to buy from us, but sometimes a quota, or it can be a quota, can not be only from advertisers who are going to buy from us, but sometimes a quota or a referral can be given to us even if someone said no. So let's say a client gets a point and they're like, no, it's not going to work for me. I like it, but we spent our budget. Boom, perfect opportunity is the door open. John, let me ask you this. I know it's not going to work for you this year, but maybe next year for sure I'll come back to you. But let me ask you, do you have any friends or family members who you know can benefit from this year in this program? You know, I do actually. Kathy down the road, she's just opened a business. I just got one of those the other day actually. And she just opened up a pizza place. You should call on her. Perfect, guys. Ask for referrals, guys, okay? The last thing I want to cover, and then we'll have some Q&A, is the psychology of selling. One of my favorite speakers on this topic is a guy by the name of Brian Tracy. And Brian often talks about, and you're probably familiar with the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're not, imagine the following. I'll use a sport analogy, for example. You're at the free throw line of a basketball game and you're bouncing the ball. You're looking up at the rim. You're going to shoot this free throw. But in your mind, you're saying, I'm going to miss the shot. I'm going to miss the shot. I'm going to miss the shot. What do you think is going to happen when you release that ball? Chances are you're going to miss the shot. And it's not because you didn't want to make the shot. It's because in your psyche, you've convinced yourself you can't do it. Now, let me tell you where that usually sees itself play out in sales. You had a rough day. You presented to 8 people. They all said no. They all said for whatever reason, they're not going to come on board. And so psychologically, you're worn out. You're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can close this. What I say to you is I say, just like I've learned from Brian Tracy, and I remember years ago when I used to work for a consulting firm, and they said, Mark, every time you do a presentation, you have to understand that at the door of the business, as you open that door, it's showtime. And I remember my boss saying that years ago, and I would laugh at him like, what do you mean it's showtime? He says, here's what it is. He says, you have got to be willing to put aside any of the psychological deficits that you have right now. Because the person on the other side of the door, they deserve your very best presentation. Now, after the presentation, if you're bummed, you can continue to do whatever you need to do for a bum period. But chances are, Mark, if you get on the other side of that fence or the other side of that door and you give your greatest presentation and that client hooks in and you guys have a blast and you laugh and they're jovial and you're jovial and you walk out with $100 or a $1,500 order, you're going to walk away smiling inside. You're going to be happy. Well, why did you get there? You got there because you psychologically prepared yourself. And guys, what I'm saying, and gals, what I'm saying is this. When you have a down day, don't let that day go with you to the next day. Forget the negative, forget the past, forget the no's. If you were to ask me about my last project, I did a project in Idaho, and I think, I don't remember, probably a month ago, yeah. And if you were to ask me about my no's and people who said no to me, I could not tell you about them. If you were to ask me about my no's over the last year, 2, 3, almost 17 and a half years, I can't tell you about them. But if you were to ask me about my yeses, oh my, do I not have a lot of yeses to talk about. Jeff Thompson Air Balloon in Orlando, Florida. Not only do we have fun when I see him, but I go up in the air balloon with him. Or Tony at the Mexican restaurant on the wharf there in Victoria, BC, and I go boating with him. I'll tell you about my yeses. And the reason I can tell you about my yeses is because they're very positive and very influential on my psyche. You cannot remember a no unless, of course, you want to continue to fail. So every presentation you do, you've got to remember, think positive and remember the psyche is what's going to help you get over the edge. Think about the positives, the positive moments, and think about the possibilities, because when you do, you'll have a much better chance of closing the deal than if you think about the negative ones. So, all right, guys, that's what I have to share with you today. Hopefully some of the things I share were helpful. So why don't we have some Q&A now, and I'll answer any questions that you may have. But if there is no other questions, guys, I want to thank you so much for participating today. If you've not set up a one-on-one call with me, I want you to go and shoot me an email. Let me know what times you are available. I try and do a 30-minute phone call. I have time to do that, 30 minutes a week. That's it. I'm willing to give you the time you need to make you effective, productive in what you do. Respect my time, I'll respect yours. So if I do book appointments with you, I expect you to be there. If you do not show up for those, it's going to be hard to get me back again. So I want to commit to that. We'll stick with it. So anyway, thanks guys so much for the call. Thank you for being on the call. And may you guys have a great day selling. Bye-bye.